Hi everybody and welcome. My name is Brenda EMMANUS and I would like to welcome you to the BFI at Home panel discussion on the short film called Boys in association with the BFI and Sky Arts. Now, Boys is an original short film starring Hector Abbott and Jude Chinchen. I'm glad to say it's a directorial debut of Ashley Walters and produced by his production company, which we'll hear about a little bit more later. It's also, for those of you who are fans of UK rap, has a very, very wonderful appearance by the British rapper Devlin. It will air on Sky Arts and Now TV at 10 p.m. on the 20th of January. And as you know, you're now taking part in a very special BFI screening. What I'd like to do now is introduce you to our most esteemed panel, which includes Ashley Walters, director, the CEO of SLNda and executive producer of the film, Nagajan Modwadia. We have writer Jerome Holder, and of course the fabulous cast, Hector Abbott and Jude Chinchen. So I guess the best place to start is to ask you how the idea came about.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, it's a long story, but I'll make it short. We at SLNda were interested in trying to find ways for me to start my directing career. We wanted to, we're actually interested in me directing one of the shows that I'm already in. And we were told that I needed to gain some experience because I had no experience as a director. That's the long and short of it. And that turned into us having, me and Nagajan having a discussion about how we would do that, where we do things like this. So we sat down, we had a meeting, and we was like, what will happen? You know, and my first thing was like, you know, I need to direct some shorts because how is anyone going to take me seriously? That turned into us kind of getting some short film scripts in, but Jerome being such a, you know, a close member to our family, he was like one of the first people that we went to. And I think this, I won't speak for him, but I think this had been sitting on his shelf for a while, you know, and you know, it had been like an ongoing thing that he had that had been constantly changing and growing. And I kind of read it, and it just stuck out to me. You know, I'm a huge fan of like 80s movies. You know, one of my favorite films is The Goonies, which is, you know, essentially about a bunch of kids that are, you know, kind of slightly outcast from the crowd, slightly nerdy or whatever, but trying to fit in, and their life is about fitting in, but they become the heroes of this story at the end. And that kind of rang true in this script. You know, a lot of people are see people, you know, like our lead characters, they see our lead characters as troublemakers, as hood rats, as whatever you want to call them, but essentially they're just boys with heart, you know, and they're trying to find a place in society today. So those things kind of, those themes in the story stuck out to me. And I just said to Nagajan that I definitely want to do this. I definitely want to direct this script. And it went from there. You know, first of all, we set out to find a bit of money ourselves to make it, you know, independently. And then on, you know, just a brief conversation we had with Sky, who I work with closely, obviously on another show that I do. They put their hands in their pocket and said that we'll back you all the way, and it just went from there.
It is a beautiful tale, and as you say, I perceive it sort of as a coming of age story. But Jerome, it's your baby. When you devised and created it, what was your ambition with this story?
Nagajan will tell you that I honestly just love writing, so I will write for days and days on anything. I'll spend months on it and just make it. And I had sent it to him. I think this was way back in like maybe 2016, and as Ash said, like, it went through a couple of changes, but what inspired it was a couple of things, man. A lot of close friends to me have unfortunately been away in prison and things like that, and I've kind of seen the hardship that other close friends to me have had, trying to let them know that they're still there for them, essentially. And I found it such a beautiful tale, and a tale whereby we could explore the sort of young male dynamic in this country at this time, and it just opened up so many things, so many themes of sort of street culture in one sense, but general boyhood, journey, discovery, self-learning, all of these kind of things kind of came out of the script once it was written. So there is a bit of like real life impetus for sure, but that was just a foundation to speak about so many other things, and I hope it comes through when you guys watch it.
I don't think you can underestimate how exciting it must be for a young writer like yourself to have already achieved this, where you've got somebody who's got, you know, faith in your project, and it's now already being you know, transmitted on a national on a broadcaster such as Sky. What kind of how would you best describe yourself as a writer and your ambition as a writer?
Firstly, I'm gassed. I'm very, very gassed.
That's the word I was looking for.
And you know what it is? It's my debut, man. And who's at the helm? Ashley. Anyway, I'll get over that. But anyway, yeah, I'm proper chuffed about it. But to describe myself as a writer, I'm concerned with the millennial condition for sure, and I'm concerned with masculinity and probably refracting that than how it's been probably portrayed beforehand. I'm obsessed with London. London is my womb, man. So anything that I create will always have London as a part of it. And I'm just concerned with subverting like established ideas. And I hope as I continue to write, as I continue to get better, that I'll challenge viewers to sort of flip what they originally perceive about things. If I can do that, then I'll say I've done a good job.
One thing we could say is that the screen has a history of beautiful double acts, and I think this is the next one for us to be excited about. Hector and Jude, tell us a bit about your characters, because I've got to admit, as an old woman, I fell in love with you both. I wanted to adapt you both. It is a bromance, but it's more than that.
Jude, would you like to go first?
No, of course. It's more like about brotherhood, really. We're entered into a life of two kids that really the society has kind of ignored in a way, and they kind of rely on each other to help them out of different situations. With Lewis, I can relate to him quite strongly. He's a bit of a nutter. He's a bit of a chancer, to be honest. He works on impulse. He thinks on impulse, to be honest. He doesn't really think about the repercussions of what might happen. And he kind of relies on Noah for help in things that he's in. He doesn't really have any role models in a sense, and he kind of sees Noah as the only person he can go to for anything. We never really see the background of what Lewis is like, but we see that he's very strongly connected with Noah and what he's about. So, yeah.
And Hector, how would you best describe Noah?
So Noah to me is, you know, let's take it back to when I actually auditioned, you know. So I'm reading the brief and whatever, and you know, all of this, and you know, I'm thinking, you know, that's me. Like, you know, it was like a brief description of myself, like no acting. So when I got the job, it was like, it was almost as if I didn't even have an acting job. It was like just a week to chill with all these cool people. but yeah, the role of Noah was just, you know, I feel like it's kind of sad. It's quite a typical urban, you know, lifestyle that, you know, a lot of people fall into, and you know, it's seen as you know, quite bad. But Noah, you know, you can see in the movie, because it gives you those different perspectives, you can see his real intentions. But you know, growing up in this concrete jungle, you know, it's survival of the fittest, you know. Like people, this is how people, it's easier for people to end up doing these type of things than even maybe go get a job. But in life, you just got to choose your hard, and you know, that's the hard that he chose, you know.
So, what, your brother wants us to go around and get all of that shit off that list?
Yeah, fam. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, fam. X-Men comics. A fucking PS2. OG trainers?
Yeah.
Bro, fam, where are we gonna get all this shit from?
I know, fam. And I've barely got any P's as well. And this meant for college. But come on, man. It makes more sense using it to help Nick. Like, imagine that was you and can't do nothing for yourself. And it's fucking Pete.
It don't matter, man. That's your college funds, man.
There's a beautiful chemistry between both of you. Had you known each other before?
No, not even.
Really? Nah, we actually met each other the day before rehearsals. I think someone was quite late to the meeting. But yeah, we met each other, and as soon as we just spoke about just our different lives, about what we're about and stuff, and just kicked on from there.
Yeah, you know, like we was both in like a like excitement or to be where we was at. We like, you know, we both had like a similar, you know, buzz of like, yeah, we're both here. Like, even though we didn't know each other, we both had the same feeling of like, damn, like we're really both here. Like, rather than this, you know what I mean? Like, it was a crazy experience to, you know, get come to terms with.
Had both of you had any acting experience before this?
Not in the filming department. I work a lot with the theatre, and I've been a part of the Orange Tree Theatre in Richmond for about 6 years. And I'm just doing bits and bobs around there, really, but not something as big as this. So when this came about, I was ecstatic, because at the start of the audition process, I was absolutely nervous. I was so nervous for it and everything going into there. And when I came out, I didn't think I thought I could have done better. And everyone really has that kind of thing in the back of their head, thinking they can do something more to show, really. And I had an embarrassing moment with the casting director, heading out of the process of basically there's like a door, 2 doors by in the audition room, and I had my head down saying, "Oh, thank you for everything." I went out, opened the door, and realized I was heading into the stock room. And Des Hamilton was like, that's that in his Scottish accent. I'm not even gonna try and do it, but he was like, it's a stock room, mate. And I was like, yeah, thank you. And on the way home, I was just listening to just some Drake music over and over, thinking, it's so embarrassing. But yeah, I guess that was a bit they liked about me. So,
Megajan, I mean, this was an opportunity for you and Ashley to prove your 10 pence worth, I guess, in terms of having a production company and champion new talent. How important was it for you, to find new talent and develop them on screen as you have here?
I think it's just part of what we do. It's because of who we are and who we know. Like, I've known Jerome since he was 15. He used to be a student at my drama school. So I've been kind of mentoring him, and he'll send me a script every 3-4 months. Then we'll have like a 4-hour conversation about the script and what have you. So this is just kind of what we do, but this is the first time that we've been able to break through and do something that's got the backing of a broadcaster. So I'm just hoping it's just going to be the beginning of a lot of the things that we want to do. And I think Boys is a really good token, to kind of see the type of storytelling that we do. We give you an alternative perspective that is not quite often seen. Like Ashley was saying, these kids are usually seen as roughnecks and rude boys, but hopefully when you see the film, be like, yeah, these are just 2 vulnerable kids, like any other kid from any other demographic and generation. So yeah, it's really, really exciting for us, and we're hoping to do some more work with Sky, and we've got some other things in development and what have you. So I'm really excited to kind of see what the audience thinks, and if they love it, that will just make it even easier for us to make more things like Boys.
Ashley, the argument for more diversity of voices and stories in the film industry has been a long and hard-fought one, and things we know are changing. But do you think they've changed enough? Do you think this is an opportunity for you guys to contribute towards that change?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yes. Well, no to the fact that to the question, have they changed enough? I mean, there's so much more we could all be doing. But I will say that they have been changing, and people are working hard to change them. But unconscious bias in film and TV in this industry exists. It's just a fact, you know. And even we can look at ourselves even and kind of, you know, there's a lot of films I've watched that I've seen that are kind of biopics that are played by someone that doesn't really look like the person, and it even throws me. Do you know what I'm saying? So in order to change people's perceptions of what things should look like, how they feel, we have to be daring when it comes to the decisions we make, i.e. with writing, with directing, with producing. And I think that's exactly why SLNda has got a place in the industry now, because that's what we're all about. Like Najam was kind of alluding to, what we want to do is tell stories that are not the same as the stories that have been told. And that doesn't mean that the other stories don't exist. You know, the Top Boys exist, like all of those sort of stories exist. But at the end of the day, there are people in this country, you know, immigrants that have had a good experience here. We want to tell some of those stories as well. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't always have to be all doom and gloom. So we're trying to change the face of it, change you know, people's perception. I think it's down to us, as well as the industry or people that control the industry. It's down to us as well to try and push that through. And that's going to happen with us kind of trying to be diverse in the stories that we tell. People will only start to feel like they want to see something else when we start making something else, if you get what I mean.
So let's talk a little bit more about the story. It's a one letter that kind of triggers a whole trail of events that gives us a sort of an idea of the challenges that these young guys face in their own personal lives. Hector and Jude, can you tell us a little bit more about the storyline?
Obviously we're friends before the story is shown to everyone. We're friends for a while. You know, our friendship is strong, and I find that how I found the story was, you know, at that age, that, you know, kind of tender age, you know, 16, you know, just leaving teenage years, I feel like that's when, you know, the teenager still thinks that maybe like friends last forever. And, you know, that's when you kind of realize that, you know, people change, but that's natural, because everyone has to change in order to evolve and like do better. But, you know, as a teenager, as a friend, you think your friends are gonna be your friends forever, but, you know, you see them have a couple differences that are a bit uncomfortable and a bit awkward, how you say, and it may be the start of like a, you know, people growing, but at the same time, the solid love is so, you know, there, like it's like they are really like really close, but it's.
And in terms of the story, though, it's the challenge that Noah has to kind of deliver on a promise to his brother who's inside, that kind of gives us an insight into who you both are. Do you see it as a sort of coming of age story? Perhaps Jerome, you could tell us whether you think that's it. Is it a coming of age story?
Coming of age for sure in many respects. This letter from Noah's brother. It's interesting to see that dynamic between him and his brother, and obviously him and his best friend Lewis. But this letter gets sent to him from his brother in prison. It details some things he needs whilst you're enjoying. There's obviously some things. And if I was to just keep it short and not you know, spoil too much, we're talking about the vehicle of the film. It's literally these two best friends going around and getting the things on this list that his brother from prison has sent. And within that, there's some obstacles, some hurdles, and some learning to be found, I think.
Fam, my feet are tired, bro.
Alright, so we've got plain tees, socks, boxers, spray, shower gel. We've got Biggs' mixtape of L's. Bro, what else? One sec. Hey, bro. Bro. Fuck's sake. Hey bro, I've barely got any P's left, G, and I still need to get them joggers, them Air Maxes, and Bubba's fucking food, man.
So what are you gonna do then?
Bro, I'm gonna have to get AJ to swing me a couple dots, bro. Pattern up the numbers, like, I know you can swing me something, G.
I thought you ain't selling no more, man.
Bro, how the fuck do you expect me to pay for all this then, huh? Huh?
No, bro, but that ain't the way.
Bro, even if man got a job in Costa today, when am I getting paid? I need it now, bro. I need the P now. Nick needs the P now. Do you get it?
And Jude, what do you think you've learned about the whole process of making this film, about acting, about storytelling? What has it excited you about, and has been the greatest eye-opener for you in this process, in this project?
I guess it's been a massive learning curve, really. It's something I've never really obviously experienced, because obviously theatre and TV are two separate, different, I guess, have different dynamics to both of each other. I just learned quite a lot about researching characters. I researched a bit about Lewis, because obviously I live in London. I am a Londoner at heart. So I see different kinds of people on a daily basis. And I thought, like, the reason why I can relate to Lewis is because, one, I do relate to him myself, but I've seen people like Lewis on a daily, really. I've seen kids that are following a certain, I guess, following a kind of a lifestyle that they're not really, they don't fit in with, and they shouldn't really be in. And I guess him following with Hector, Noah, sorry, he obviously is just following his brother, so to say, because he's the only one that really he can attach to. So he's kind of gone into a situation which he shouldn't really be in. He's not that kind of kid, and it's just this within this story. It's actually shows a bit of tension between the two characters. Lewis is someone that wants to be better himself as a person, and he also wants to better Noah as a person. And he sees that his brother isn't probably the best role model for him. So it's almost like Lewis is trying to grow up and trying to distance himself from that I guess hood life that Noah is surrounded by with his family, I guess. So it was a lot to, I guess, research as well as to see like who like that. I know I've got a few people that don't really, I know a few people that have gone into just things like that where they shouldn't really be in. And it was good to, I guess, express it through my character into the film.
Now, Ashley, I guess in this project, you're the daddy, you're the elder in some respect, but their story is very much your story from the past. Do you think it's a tale that we can hear of again and again, but we just don't get to see enough on screen? These voices, these stories.
Yeah, definitely. I know I had to make a lot of choices, and this is the thing. This is why I say I don't have any regrets with some of the bad choices I made, because they all got me here at the end of the day. You have to learn to live with those regrets and obviously find the positive in them. And I think that made me entitled. That gave me the privilege of directing Jerome's movie and being able to do it any justice, because actually I came at it from that angle. I came at it from a sympathetic angle when I was directing. I didn't want to make a movie that was showing, there are aspects of it that show what a 16-year-old male, 16-year-old experience is in London right now. But my attempt with the movie, and I hope it came across, was to show that there is hope for us all going forward. I think with the way we shot it, we kind of tried to keep it bright. We didn't want it to look dim. We wanted London to look as vibrant as possible in the time of year that it was. We wanted the boys to look as colorful as possible. We wanted the message to be strong, but we wanted to show that they are thinking, they are searching for something better than the life that they are, constantly being shown or given. And it's so hard easy for people to slip in to a lifestyle, like Jude was saying, that maybe they're not even, they wasn't even chosen for them really. But because what is around you with social media and all the other influences that you're bombarded with as a 16-year-old in this day and age, it's really difficult to avoid that conclusion sometimes. And these are, you know, I wanted people to see that these boys, you know, like I said, are trying, and you know, are trying to look for something that is different in their own way.
Now, you mentioned, Nagajan, that it's important for you and the production company to give a voice to voices that we rarely hear. Obviously, we see now that the BFI and Sky have invested in these new voices. What do you think is the danger if we don't see this happen on a wider scale? What are we missing out on here?
Well, I guess, you know, it's been a certain way for a really long time, and I think there is more of an appetite to hear stories from a different perspective. And I think us as producers and production companies, we need to get really good at winning commissioners over and getting them to trust that there is an audience for the show, because that can be a big battle. So like with SLNda, what you'll notice, like, you know, if you looked at our slate, it's very British. It's multicultural Britain, but it not to be fashionable. It's like it's my background. I'm British Indian. Ashley's Jamaican, Guyanese. Laura's Malawi. Saba's Iranian. Like all of our team are just from everywhere, but we're all British, and our stories are really, really British. And I think, you know, from what I'm learning through this process is that we've got to get really good at convincing commissioners that British multicultural stories can have a global audience, because that seems to be a thing everybody wants. Oh, we want to tell a British story, but it has to resonate globally. So you see a lot of those shows being made. But yeah, I think we've just got to take responsibility and just push and fight a little bit harder, and just get better at pitching these stories and winning these commissioners over. And hopefully we'll see a lot more. And like what Ash was saying, is like once audiences have seen something once, so I think, you know, boys, when people see, this film, and if they've not seen things like this before, they might be more open to seeing other shows like this in the future. So it's all little steps that help us all. And there's so many people, you know, before us, like Noel Clark and, you know, and all of those guys have kind of paved the way for us to be able to do this. Hopefully we're kind of helping to pave the way for the other filmmakers that are out there who want to do similar things.
Now, it is called Boys, and it is the story of these young men, but there's one woman in here, Jerome. And do you think she has a specific role to play in this story, in this tale?
Absolutely. It was also, I'm glad you picked up on that, actually, Brenda. She's a calming force, and also a force that kind of makes Noah look at things a bit different and be serious, and for him to grow up and realize that living a certain lifestyle is gonna put you in a certain place, and a place that is detrimental to your well-being. It was very important for me that she was Black as well. I think Black female leads are few and far between, especially dark-skinned Black women. So that was very important for me as well, and that was kind of specified in the script too. And it was important that she was there as a force to help him, but also exert her own womanhood and kind of guide these guys, because she's the only female presence in the film after all. But I think she's there to sort of stabilize things almost. She brings a different energy to the chaos at times of the lads.
Now, it's a question that's often put to women and navigated towards women. But Hector, we're introduced to you in a very, from the beginning, in a very intimate way, and then you get the most intimate scenes. How challenging did you find those, to spare your blushes?
It was technical, you know. I mean, we had a whole a stunt coordinator, you know, a job I've never even heard of before, to you know, just sort it all out. Everything we were both comfortable with, and you know, we practiced it over and over. Everyone, you know, we felt comfortable filming it, and you know, thinking about it before going into it, it was quite like maybe like, oh, like, is there gonna be like 20-30 people like watching? I'm gonna have to redo it like 17 times. But no, it was alright. It was done like that, and yeah, like Jerome was saying, I think that, you know, as someone that's trying to do all these things for my brother, you know, not really thinking about the risk. It's like when you're younger, the risk assessment isn't really there. You don't think about consequences that you haven't faced, like prison or something like that. I don't think that that's something that you really think is, you know, really gonna happen to you. But with a girl, you know, like when she's threatening me, saying, you know, don't do this, don't do that. It's like, I don't wanna. It's like in the Noah doesn't want to lose her, so it's kind of like tearing him, and you know what I mean. So it's quite a hard dilemma for him.
Brenda, can I jump in there?
Of course you can.
I jump in? Because it was a difficult process, that part of filming. And I think Hector was talking about we had to hire an intimacy coach that basically comes in and kind of, you know, really coordinated the scene with him, with Hector and Lois, Kamani and Noah. And yeah, I mean, I think it was difficult for both of them because it was both their first time doing anything like that on camera, let alone at all in life. Do you know what I mean? So it was really difficult, and them not knowing what it was going to be. We literally started working on that. I'll be honest with you. The actual scene, the way I was going to shoot it initially, it was going to be quite graphic. I was hoping for it to be quite full on for the audience. I wanted the audience to feel really uncomfortable watching that. But we had to do it based on what the guys were comfortable to do. So it did slowly diminish to that. But actually, it gave us something really beautiful in the end that was really intimate. But what I love about that scene the most is the effect that Kamani has on Noah's character. You know, for the rest of the movie, you see him as, you know, this guy who's hard, very quick-witted and whatever. And it's only in that space when he's around that woman that she softens him. Do you know what I'm saying? That she really kind of brings the true boy out of him in that moment. You know what I mean? Other than the last scene that we won't talk about because we'll kind of give it away. But yeah, so yeah, really the intimacy that we got from it without kind of going full on, I think ended up being much better than what I planned to do. And that's the beauty of directing really as well, is kind of, you never know what it's going to be like as much as you plan. And it's always good to listen to the people that you're working with, especially your actors. So when things like that happen, I would set up planning all night for the next day and whatever, and get in, and then kind of some of the guys would be like, well, I'm not comfortable doing this, and this had changed to that and whatever. And your first instinct is to kind of be like, oh man, come on, like I want everyone to do it the way I wanted to do it. But actually I learned throughout that process to kind of lean into it and just embrace it. And I think we got the best movie from doing that.
Because you've actually segued me into my question to you as what were the learning curves for you as a director? And do you think having been an actor, it made you a better or slightly more sensitive director?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I think it's best to ask the boys really how they felt when it comes to how sensitive I was, because I know at times, I'm a naturally impatient person. I've got a really kind of coarse voice. My voice is kind of gruff. It's really hard for me to talk nicely to people without them Nags will tell you, yeah, without them kind of feeling like, is he upset with me or whatever. But I think a beautiful thing that we had was that I had a brilliant relationship with the actors. I'm sure they'd probably say the same. It's like, you know, I spent most of my time talking to them. And, you know, I did that for a reason, because I wanted them to feel as comfortable with me as I did, you know what I mean, with them. But at the end of the day, when you're running the show, there always has to be a moment where you need to get things back on track, and people have got to listen and focus. But on the most part, you know, the relationship that we had, all of us together, was we were good friends whilst we were filming that, and it made it so much easier. And I gave them, you know, I picked them because they naturally have a piece of the characters they're playing in them already. So it was quite easy for me at times to roll the camera and let them be who they are. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't that much pressure. And I think that's why we got the best thing out of it. But when it comes to me as the director, my style, I think the experience that I've had as an actor, working with so many different directors, has helped me a lot. And I'd say I'm pretty much, I warm to, you know, my relationship with the actors more than my relationship with the camera, although I do know what I want to see on the other side.
But you have a very successful screen career. What is it about direct? Why do you want to direct?
If a lot of people won't understand, but as an actor, you know, you're always playing someone else. Yeah, granted, but you're always at the whim of someone else's call. You know, you have to tell the story the way the director, the way the writer, the way the producers would like you to tell the story. And kind of when you get into the director's seat, you have a lot more control. You know, the decisions fall on you at the end of the day, and you get to work with the writer. You know, if there's things in there that you don't feel are going the right way, or things that could enhance the story, you get a chance to tamper with it at that stage. You know, the producers have hired you for a reason, because they want you to bring it to life in the way that they've seen you do it before. So they give you a bit more free reign. And when it comes to setting up a show, you know, I was involved finally with the clothes that the boys wore, you know, the locations that we picked, how they looked, the colors and the textures that you see on the screen or whatever, were all down to me to decide. And like I said, I'm an impatient person. I don't do well with detail a lot of the time. I'm a headline sort of guy. But I was really surprised with myself how much I enjoyed the preparation and the early stages, the pre-production of the process. And Nagajan would tell you, like, after we finished filming, I didn't want to go back to my acting job. I was like, what's next? Do you know what I mean? This is what I want to do now. But you know, so obviously I have to find a nice balance. And for me, this is a journey as well. Hopefully I can get more work after this, just like I know the boys will are going to get more work, and Jerome's definitely going to get, you know, more work in his field. So I think for all of us, this is like a really brilliant calling card going forward.
Now, Jerome, as gassed as you are about having your project turned into a film, it must be a bit like handing over a baby. How much control or how much influence did you have over the look, the character development? Or did you just have to sit back and observe at that once you've given it over?
I tell you what, you saw who I've handed the baby over to, though, innit? Like, you know, in good hands. It couldn't have been handed over to anyone else. What's beautiful about Nags and Ash is that throughout this whole process, I've been involved. Ash will always ask me something if he wants me to, like, clarify anything, but let me, you know, once it was over, gave me the utmost confidence that it was going to be created and made into something beautiful. And it is. I am honestly beside myself, because obviously when you write down words, they elicit a certain amount of stuff within you. When you see it, and it's beyond even what I believe to say was on the page, is the most satisfying feeling as a writer. So I had no fears, no qualms, and I've just been so glad to be a part of the process from day one. From that call Dags gave me, like, I was outside my work, and he called. I could not believe it. To now doing this, like, I've been there throughout the whole thing, and that's credit to Ash and Nags, 100%.
Then, Nags, you mentioned that this film, you kind of will appeal to a specific audience. How important was the music? Because that's pretty cool.
Well,
I have to give him absolute respect for that, because I was like, what is this music in the beginning? Everybody wasn't into it, and that's what I love about Ash, because, you know, if he believes in something, he'll fight. He listens, but if he believes in something, he will fight till the end, like to the very end.
It made me feel old, admittedly, but it worked.
It works amazing. It took version 6 or 7 of the edit where I was like, I don't want anything else on it, because there was all kinds of maneuvers happening behind the scenes to see if people could change Ashley's mind. But after version 6 or 7, like, I was on Ashley's side, like, yeah, you know, we want this music. But Ash, I feel like I'm speaking for you, Ash. Like, you know, you were.
No, so you said it right. It was like, I learned, as like, when it comes to directing, you really have to, if you want it to be told, like, all right. So there's a good director friend of mine that said to me just before I shot this, I was asking all the directors that I know, I was like, Can I have some advice as to what to do? And this one guy simplified it for me really quickly. He was like, there's a boat and there's a boat in the sea. What color is it? So I said, it's blue. And he said, who's on the boat? And I said, there's a lady. He said, what's she wearing? I said, a dress. He said, does she have a hat? I said, yes, she does. He said, well, you just directed. And I took that through this process with me. At the end of the day, I know what everyone else wants to hear and what everyone else wants to see. But when I read it and when I see it, this is what I heard. And it has to be that way at the end of the day. Otherwise, it's not my film. I didn't direct it. Do you know what I'm saying? And there was a huge risk because, you know, I chose Italian jazz, but that's what I was listening to for the year before and whilst I was making that film. Like even in my music that I've been producing and putting out, I've been using samples of Italian jazz. That's how ingrained it was in my being at that time. So it just wouldn't have been natural for me to put anything else. And I felt like I'm sick of watching films that have got grime, that have got hip hop, that have just got that usual thing. I think that we can use music in loads of different ways and different types of music. And I just felt that it would take people out of their comfort zone. So I feel like people will see this movie or see the poster for this movie and think it's going to be a certain thing. But when they watch it, they'll actually feel that they're being invited into a world that they didn't know. It kind of, you know, it softens it slightly more. But yeah, I mean, that's the long and short of it. You know, I love the music and that's what it had to be. And no one was changing my mind. None of them.
No, I mentioned to you guys off camera, do you think that Hector and Jude, do you think you'd like to see the characters and see more of their adventures? What were your ambition for these two? What would you like to see?
So of course, when we were filming, we were all speculating. You know, we were coming up with our own stories, you know, just for fun, just to pass time. You know, like what would happen. You know, would the boys turn to men? You know, but you know, I mean, like we were just having fun with it. But yeah, of course, I mean, you can think about it, but you know, at the end of the day, we're the actors. You know, we just get the call and do whatever. But it would be great, you know, like if it were to happen, you know, I can definitely 100% say it will be a very like how do you say it will grab the audience.
A good thing.
Yeah, because the cast and everyone involved in making it is just like top of the league, honestly.
Jerome, do you think there's room? Do you think there's room for growth for these characters?
There is room. I mean, there is room. Of course, there is. There's room in the sense that their lives and what they're going through are things that being a boy, being a lad, is something that is universal, and these are always stories that can be told. When they then progress, how it would be approached, I don't know. There's so many ways we could go at it. I do have an idea, but wait for this to come out first, isn't it? But no. There is definitely room, and I'll be excited to see it because like we said, we're not going to spoil the end of the film, but the end of the film is a jumping off point for Noah and for Lewis in that respect to change their lives, and I'd be very excited to see how it ended up.
So next, what do you most hope that an audience takes away from this project?
I take away from it, I think I just hope they can connect with Noah. You know, if you just have some empathy, you know, for these people are painted in a certain way. If you can have some empathy for them, then I think that will be more than enough. I think for me, just kind of like I've got a lot from it, from what you have said yourself. Like I fall. It's not my demographic, and I've fallen in love with these two boys. That is huge for me. And then the second thing is any youngsters watching this, if they can relate to Noah's trajectory, because that was the most important thing for me in this script when I read it about 5 years ago, because I've been through that same journey myself when I saw a handful of things happen and I'm like, I'm not going down that road. I'm not going down that road where everybody else is going right now. And yeah, if the young generation can see that and they are more open to, you know, behaving a different way, or not being like pulled in like a magnet into a certain direction, and then yeah, if we can get those two things, for our audiences, yeah, I'm a happy person.
Noah.
Yeah, boss.
Yeah, how are we doing?
I just need this and £5 on the electricity, please.
Noah, you haven't got enough.
Say wallahi, hey, boss, that's my last tenner.
Sorry, mate.
Well, how about this? How much is it to send a package to Leicester, Grantham Mews, for like a PlayStation and some clothes?
Leicester, 20 quid, depends how heavy.
Fuck. Oh, man. Bro. All right. Well, cool. I'll tell you what then. Keep these for now. I'll take this and let me get a box of wisdom now, and I promise you I'll pay you back tomorrow. I promise, boss man, you know.
Noah, if your mum finds out I've given you fags again...
Achalala, who do you think they're for?
I want my tenner tomorrow.
You're a real boss man.
Now just fuck off.
Thank you, boss.
Jerome, there will be people, young and old, writers, or people that've got stories in their head that they're desperate to tell. As a writer who's had this sort of taste of success now, what would be your advice to them?
Is to write the thing. I mean, I'm lucky that no genres in my life. I tell you that right now. But beyond anything, is to write it. There are loads of opportunities, and I think things like what Neil Street Productions do, or Netflix does, or BBC, where they take on unsolicited scripts, like they let them do, like, take advantage of those opportunities. But more than anything, study yourself, know your voice, know your narrative voice, and just keep producing. You can't say you're a writer unless you write. So write.
So Hector and Jude, this must be an exciting time for you, having come off the back of such an inspiring project. What's next for you?
Well, we'll have to see, really. Obviously, at this point in time, during lockdown, it's quite hard to find some work. But as soon as everything gets better, which it will do, I'm hoping just to go straight into the deep end and get out of my comfort zone, really. I don't want to expand, really, my acting role. I don't want to be placed into a restricted kind of character. I just want to expand myself and better myself as an actor, really.
And Hector?
I like that question because I came into the acting experience thinking that this would, give me the history to get more acting jobs. But really, when I was on set, watching Ashley and everyone work, it actually made me realize that although if I ever get an acting opportunity, of course I'll take it, because I'm not one to miss an opportunity that's available for me. But it made me realize that I would really like to do directing as well.
Oh wow!
And so that made me realize that, and it was quite eye-opening for me. Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, we haven't mentioned it, the big C word, because it obviously impacted on all of you in terms of the production. How did you cope? We are in times of COVID restrictions. How did you manage to work and navigate around that? And what did it make you fearful for the industry in the times that we are in now?
That interestingly, this film was originally going to start filming in March, but it was going to film like 3 days after lockdown. Mm-hmm. So we were still prepping, and the 3 weeks prep and the whole COVID thing was happening, but none of us thought that this was a real thing. It was like, oh, it's just going to pass or whatever. And then Sky made the phone call, be like, we're going to put a pause on it. A week before lockdown, this was, we're like, all right, cool, totally get it. And that was that. And then, COVID happened. And then as we were coming out of the next lockdown, Sky kind of gave us an opportunity to say, look, if you really want to do it now, you can, or why don't we do it next year? And it's like, well, Ashley's filming like just non-stop. So we've got to do it now. And Saba, who produced it, was like, yeah, we're we can get it prepped. So interesting that, this film was made like in the height, in the absolute height of COVID. But because we had a really good producer, and then the rest of the team who really wanted to make it happen, everybody just kind of got it done. So it was just the will, Firstly, Sky said, we'll back it. So we have to give them nothing but respect for that. They backed it, took on the risk, and then we had a great producer and then a great team that just chose to be like, yeah, do it. And you know what? It's quite easy to say it now. It paid off. Like it might not have worked out, and we might have had to shut it down again, and it might have been 2022 because of Ashley's schedule that we could have filmed it. But I just put it down to good team. Yeah, that we were able to get it done.
Well, so what next for you then, Ashley? Is it back in front of the camera as opposed to behind? You still working on projects for the company?
Yeah, I mean, all of the above. If I'm honest, Brenda, I'm filming until mid 2022. So, like schedule wise, pretty much back to back, with a few gaps here and there. But in between that, we're just developing. SLNda is like a huge priority for me at the moment, and us kind of the shows that we've been talking about, that we've been developing, just getting them greenlit and getting them out there, and giving other people like Hector and Jude and Jerome opportunities to shine, because that's a big part of what we do. I'm just like, I'm really happy and safe in the fact that I've got Nagajan and Laura, who's our story developer, kind of working with us, because they take a lot of the weight. They do a lot of the heavy lifting because I'm on set a lot of the time. So we communicate via phone and text message and whatever, but they're there in the firing line when it comes to negotiations and things like that. And they do a brilliant job. So we're always progressing, always moving forward.
Well, I think a shining example of that. I think this has been an absolute brilliant example of what you do when you can overcome obstacles like COVID restrictions. And this has been a real testament to, when given the opportunity, what amazing young talent we have in this country. And just a reminder that Boys will be aired on Sky Arts and Now TV on the 20th of January at 10 p.m. And if you've enjoyed this Q&A in association with the BFI, just a reminder that BFI is a charity, and if you'd like to donate, the details will be up on our screen. I'd like to thank you all again for giving your time and, of course, your talent, to spend some time with us again. We'll be watching what you do next. Thank you all very much for joining us. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.